So is anybody ready to share with the group what they learned from our events, our last class with Master Cho?
Where do I begin?
Anybody ready to share?
You go, Parker.
Let's start with somebody else.
Guys, if you're ready, you can come up here and take a turn. So I know several of us were at the training, so if you want to share with the group, that would be great. So, yeah, I can go first if you want.
Yeah,
That'd
cool.
be good since you're standing.
Okay. So I'll just share some of the star things I had in my notes here with you because I had a great time. It was quite sitting on the floor for that long. It's quite an intense journey. So one of the first things Master Cho was talking about is if you can't see the way, like your goal, your destination, that you feel unsafe. So you have to make your own way, which is like you let the curds float to the top and then get the way from the bottom. And then he said he was emphasizing to start small with a good feasible plan. And if you think it's not possible, then you will always find an excuse. And if you start taking action based on love for the land, then you will get results. That was one of them. I really like this philosophy section, is seeing his heart and seeing how he's saying just a deep love in there. And then I thought this point was also a good one. I guess most of my points so far are philosophical, but even though Korean natural farming can be difficult, it's this farming method helps to restore the environment. So your extra effort is seen, maybe not necessarily like right there, but the streams flowing through your land and everything is your extra effort that went through makes that difference. And then I also thought it was interesting that he was really talking about showing our data and keep comparing our results. So keeping really good records of our farming, and that's the best way for us to improve. In that way we can see what's going on. And he was saying it's slightly better to get IMO from slightly poorer soil, which is, I thought that was interesting because usually we're going to like the richer part of the forest to get the good IMO, but it seems more like it's like a Jadam type technique, like get it from the poorer soil.
Do you know why he said that?
No, there's no context clues in my notes around that would.
Wasn't it about when he was describing how to transplant the banana keikis and to put the IMO4 into the poor soil and put the keikis into the poor soil for that
What
week?
he was saying was when you go and get your soil.
So I think we'll all have a chance to go and say what we've heard and how we've done it. And I thought this was interesting that even though you're looking at something, when we look at rocks, we can't see the cracks with our eyes, but to the microbes, the cracks are huge, and they'll be able to find the cracks in the rocks. So don't worry about us breaking them up. Let the microbes find those little cracks and get in there and break them up. And then I think one of the biggest takeaways in terms of like technology that he was talking about for me was that plants menstruate, and we all kind of know that, but how he's saying that this is really kind of unique to natural farming and the mentor that he studied with, like understanding, because many of us don't think about the menstrual cycle and this thing in our plants at all. But understanding that and easing that and really thinking of reproduction and that menstruating of renewal and getting the body fertile again to receive a child, that same thing in the plants. They're kind of doing that same similar thing, even though we're not seeing like a bunch of blood leaking out of them. But they just get morning sickness and get kind of upset stomach. So, and then I wrote this one down and put a big star next to it, that you can get more energy out of microbes than nuclear power.
Yeah.
I thought we should take note of that and maybe let the people making our power stations be aware that there's technology out there that we're not aware of. It's just very tiny. So I think that's all I had for the, well, I had a few more. But that's all I want to share for that. And then the farm tours, I had a really good time. It was nice to see Master Cho in the field and see him walk up to a plant and do a diagnosis. And especially since we had taken the class before and then we're out there to see and apply it, it just connects so many dots. And I felt like this class with the field day, it should have been called more of a field day, I think, because farm tour, we were really learning at a field. And we got to see these diverse operations where everyone's trying their best to really be in tune with nature, and to see Master Cho come in and give some pointers to help us on that path was huge for me. To take all this philosophy and things that we had learned, up here, and then apply them, or well, not really, get to physically see. So I really enjoy that. I like that format, and I hope something like that can happen again. Thank you.
So the things that I liked about the seminar was Master Cho was explaining the OHN, and it being that the OHN is our building block. It's our go-to make everything better solution. But he was really emphasizing not to change the ingredients in that, and to keep it a standard that's the one thing that he says don't change. Don't change it at all. Keep it the way it was. And I liked that because we need standards. The other thing, when he was saying Korean natural farming isn't finished. I liked that saying because we all farm differently. So we all should be learning from each other is what he's saying. And to keep our notes on all of our, just like Drake was saying, to keep all of our notes so that we can compare for our environment here. Because we have so many different environments on this island, it's hard for me to say what I do in my environment and help somebody else that might be in a wetter environment than me. So we all need to keep notes to see what is working better for each of our own environments. And if you're tweaking something, we shouldn't be tweaking it, for one. Is we should keep a standard, and that's what Master Cho was saying. If you don't have a standard or a baseline, how are you going to know if what you're tweaking is working or it's not working if we don't have a baseline and following what he says first? So if we follow what he says first, and then we keep our notes and we keep them, specifically on that we've done everything the way he's told us to do it, and then if we want to change an ingredient to a more local product or a local plant that's here, and then we can know if when we've changed his baseline, if it's working or it's not working. So if we keep that baseline and we change it, then we can have more scientific results rather than this isn't working for me here, and well, what did you do? I don't know. So we got to have better record keeping and sticking to the basics. That's what Master Cho was trying to stress. And I like the part where he said that it's not finished. We're supposed to finish it. We're supposed to step up and be the leaders, especially here in Hawaii. That's what he's saying. or that's what I thought he was saying, was that in Hawaii, we need to step up because there's a lot of eyes on us. And then, the other thing was at the farm tours. I love seeing Master Cho, just like Drake was saying, go up to a plant and tell you, what it is. And then he's looking at the whole environment around it. I mean, we're looking at a mango tree, and the girls want to know why it's not producing any mangoes. He says, it's got too much nitrogen. She says, I don't put any nitrogen on it. Well, but when we started looking around, there's nitrogen fixers all over the ground, and then there's horses over here that are
4 feet from the trunk.
pooping at the trunk. Well, you might not be putting nitrogen on it, but here's all these other things in your environment that are. So he pointed those things out, and it just makes sense. I just love how he can do that, and one day, hopefully, my eyes will be open to all of these things too, and hopefully we can help each other learn some of these things. So that's what I took away from it. Thanks. Okay.
Be brave. Be brave.
Okay, so my name is Kaika, and I was really active probably about 10 years ago with natural farming, and then I dropped out for about 5 years, and I've just jumped back in, and I took a course with with Jason, one of the certification instructors, and it happened to be at a farm that's next door to where I live. So it was on the tour. It was, so Master Cho stopped there on the tour. I went to this 3-day seminar, and then I just went to that one part of the tour. Wow. I think that one of the most impactful things from the seminar was hearing the story from Master Cho about how he was communed with plants. And it's a very sad story, and I know some people probably don't know it who weren't there, but it has to do with, our personal beliefs and philosophies, and then how that goes into governments and how governments make motions, and it has to do with back in the 1950s or so-ish. He didn't say a date, but I guessed it was when it was the communists the countries were saying that what agriculture and where we need to look was epigenetics, how the environment influences expression. But it was the other forces, like the United States, who were saying, no, it's about genetics, and it's led us down this path of GMO. But how it played out for Master Cho back then was he got labeled a communist, and he got turned in and taken away and tortured and left to die, and he ended up in the mountains alone, living just that way. And what I took from that was, so here's a divulgence of my personal life. So I have experimented with psychedelics, mushrooms, and I can say, that's how I've communed. But when I look at the pathway that Master Cho communes, oh my goodness. I had the experience. There was another person who came with Master Cho. This time his name is Master Lee. And I don't really know his story much. What I got the impression was that he's an actual farmer who's very, I think he's one of the top people with Master Cho in Korea, and that he's an excellent farmer. But I didn't get the same feeling. Like with Master Cho, there's just this and I don't know what else to do. And with Master Lee, I felt it there, but it wasn't the same impetus and draw. And I guess that's what I thought was that he had a different. Master Cho had a communion with nature that was profound.
And it's Pastor Lee. That's how we differentiate.
Yeah, how is it, yeah, it's like,
He's a pastor, so.
it's so profound, and he's dedicated his life, in my understanding, to being able to, like, he learns. He said one thing that really impacted me a lot. Somebody said that when he walks around, he feels so much sadness in seeing all the plants that he could help. He knows how to, and he's trying to make it so that we can too. And I am a postural alignment specialist, and so I have that experience in life. I go to the high schools and I see the kids. Now you guys all go and like, we have a different experience. I end up in the toilet crying because I'm hiding, because I'm so upset at what I see and what I know can be fixed. It can be, it really can. I know it. But can I communicate to anybody? Can I set up the structure to do that? Meanwhile, I have a client and I'm practicing and getting better at trying to communicate. And there's so many holes in I don't have my videos yet. People could look at my handouts that I give them. They can be like, oh, they're so insufficient. And they're so right. But I was stricken by how many complaints I heard, and how this whole workshop to me was about learning how to take responsibility. And so somebody complained about how much it cost. And like, Master, he's just banking. He doesn't really have people. And I just stepped right up and I said, I set the price structure. You can bring that up with me presently, right now. I was like, I'm not going to what am I supposed to do? Is just go, yeah, well, I don't know. I think they're nice people. Or I was involved a while back and they seem like nice. No, I'm like, no, it's over. Natural farming to me is really important. And I'm going to collect the information from you. We're going to address your concerns. I'll take it to whoever, but I'm responsible. I set the $400 admission fee or whatever. And I kept coming up to that. And so I'm trying to look at things from all angles, from the people who are doing their best and pouring their life into making things that just aren't perfect yet. And I'm just appreciating that we're all in it together and going down the path. And I hope we just keep making really tight relationships and bonds and communicating through to that end. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
I just have a short thing to say, and I'm not going to stand up for it. My big aha was
The teary moment when Master Cho welcomed Kaika back and said that he missed her so much when she was on her healing path. The love in that moment was the whole thing for him.
Yeah, he kept calling Kaika.
and smacking her.
I got more smacks than I've ever seen.
That weren't yours.
Well, they were. That's why I say I am walking into that. Yeah, I'm owning all of that. Because why I'm saying so on the farm tour, he was like, I was so involved, and I think he had high hopes, for me. And then I disappeared, and it hurt him. And then he thought I didn't get it, but I just wanted him to know I'm taking responsibility for this. Yes, I am. You can come. I wanted him to know he can come to me, and I will do my best to make sure that we work it through. We are all doing our best. I had no gripe with anybody, and he wanted to know where I'd been. And he has my husband had a nice relationship with him too on the tour, so we kind of got to know him. Yeah.
It was really sweet. It was really sweet, and you just stepped up. I was so proud. You stepped up and took it.
Well, I looked at all the times when is my time to step up, and I don't know. And I said to my husband, I said, I can't hide anymore. No hiding out of the farm. I gotta get out.
Okay, so I share something. My name is Kim Chang. I've been with Master Joe since he came here first seminar at the University of Nation. And since then, every time he comes here, I take all his seminar. I go to Korea and go to his school. But I hear, I don't know how many seminar his teachings. I hear it, but when he comes here, there's a Korean speaking and English speaking. So in same time, I'm listening 2 times. That's why it goes into my head really fast. And I don't have to write down. I cannot write it down. I'm a very focused person. If I write, I don't hear. I'm those kind of people. So I cannot write anything. I just have to listen. But every time I listen to him, I learn something. It seems like he talk about same thing, but there's something new pop up. Yeah, this time what I learned was how to make yeast. He taught it was so easy too. Like especially when you make makgeolli, you put milk in, it's gonna bubble. That's the time you collect that and mix with equal amount of brown sugar. That's the yeast. And you can make it with bread or whatnot, and also we can use for farming inputs. Also, I've been teaching natural farming almost nearly 10 years now. But I use only this one book. He has 2 English books. I only use first his English book. That's my Bible of natural farming. But somehow he stopped printing that book, and then he has 2 little books now. I don't know why. I'm kind of intuition kind of people, you know. So something my heart is not telling me to go there look, or you know, I don't do it. I'm very weird that way. Even when I study, same way. I don't look at those 2 little books, and I only look at that first book, and then when I have a question in the beginning, I go back and look at it. And also, when I learned first time, I came home, I started making input right away and test it. I don't trust people, so I test. And when I see the result, I go for it. And then every single input, it showed me, wow, this is a miracle stuff. Like I always tell this story. I had this cakey papaya tree was growing, and I have a big golden retriever. She knocked it down. It was broke. And then something tells me, it's broke. You need a calcium. So it was when I was in the beginning. I was testing with 1 or 2 plants. So I pour over calcium. That time I didn't know how to mix it either. I only in 1 input. And then literally in 1 week, this thing was down like this and stand up. Yeah, so it healed the broken bone of the body of the little cakey papaya. So, I said, oh my God, it gives me chicken skin when I look at it, you know. And still I do when I telling this story. And then he teach us what is the calcium phosphate? It helps the flowering. Yeah, so the little plant growing, so I was testing. It was a little tiny one. Oh my God, it started flowering. And I killed it because he said, shouldn't have baby shouldn't have baby. You know, that's how he teach, you know, always compare with our body and then their body, same animal, same thing. So what I realized, his method is really, really simple. Very, very simple method. So if you just follow that and apply, if you learn how to see what to look for, you know, what to see the sign, this one need calcium. Or when your tree is too dark and no food, it's over nitrogen, I need to suppress. I gotta give you water soluble calcium. You know, you just learn automatically, but the basic, that is most important. It's in anything. When you learn drawing, art or ballet, whatever, you have to know the basic really, really well. That's I realized more when I went to volunteer of a student. The basic wasn't there. Yeah, so that's why Master Joe gave me a heavy burden on me, But then I was a little bit stressed out, but then, well, this was my purpose anyway. That when I went to his class first time, that's I found my life of purpose. Yeah. So anyway, you can do it. You just follow his instruction. Yeah. And then everybody can do it. And everyone gonna be like a Master Joe in one day. Thank you.
I want to agree with everything that everybody said before me, but what I got from the weekend with Master Cho was, and I'm not a religious person, but I really saw how creation works, and that we're all part of something that's much bigger than us, and every part of it's really important. And that was really humbling for me to see. And Master Cho is just inspirational, that's all I can say. Totally inspirational. And I'm so grateful to Kim and also to Master Cho, because after the whole weekend and all the tour and all the time and everything that he had put in, he was willing to sit down with me and talk about the vegan method for Korean natural farming, and gave me the instructions, and Kim as well, the instructions on how to do this. And I'm so grateful for that, and I know there's a lot of people that are going to be wanting that information as well. So it was just a mind-blowing weekend, and I just did one day of the tour as well. It was amazing.
I have a question with the last speaker. When you're making calcium phosphate, you're not using bones because you're vegan.
No, he gave me instructions on how to make it using sesame seeds, sesame stalks, stems.
Using what?
Sesame
stalk.
stems.
For calcium phosphate.
Yes.
Sesame
Stalks.
So for those of you that don't know me, my name is David, and something that really resonates with me in natural farming is painting the picture. So how can we take these super diverse concepts that at first exposure can seem super overwhelming, and how can we paint them in a picture that's easy to digest? And not only how can we think about the future generations, so the children who are on the iPads in the cities that are disconnected from nature and want to get in touch with that side within themselves. And I think through the evolution of CGNF and the educational material, it's going to shift towards a more digital format. And during the seminar, I got super inspired and drew a lot of pictures. I can share any of my notes with you guys since they're all digital, just come up afterwards. But some of the things that he talked about was like the memory of the past is the history. If you're restricted by the past, you can't live in the present. So in order, what we need to do to move forward is first erase what we used to believe, and then accept this like new paradigm and live it and walk it and breathe it. There's a part I have. Baby creates the lung capacity as it feeds on the mother's milk. So I think what Master Cho was explaining was that like the lungs of the plant are related to kind of like the nutrients that it's getting, and we're feeding it in its early stages. Another thing is that the roots of a tree or a plant will go as deep as the height of the plant, and it will actually completely dissolve the rock in the process. I don't know if you can see it, but the tree's kind of eating the rock. He went over the process of building soil. He talked about it before, where he did the experiment in Kona in the desert, and he was able to build about 40 to 50 centimeters in 6 months. And I illustrated kind of like the whole process of first adding the IMO4 and then the biochar, and then you're sowing in the corn seeds, and then you're waiting 50 to 60 days for the corn to grow about 1.2 meters, and then you're chopping that matter down, and you're repeating that process about 3 times, and then after about 6 months you'll have like a well-established microbial network in the soil, and that's like a great way to do it if you're, say, in like South Kona or in like a desert area and don't have that much access to water. Another thing is, he said, where's the origin of the soil? And it's from the ocean. So if the soil's lacking, it's homesick and it misses the sea. So it's our duty to bring the sea back to the plant. He talked a little bit about the bacterial mineral water system and how we're basically mimicking nature and mimicking a waterfall, and how that whole process works with the water coming down from above, hitting the rock, and then when it hits the rock, the water is actually structured, so it's no longer H2O, it's H3O2, and on a molecular level, there's light put back into the water, and drinking that water is super beneficial for us and for the bees and for all plants in life. So yeah, I look forward to diving more into that, understanding that system. He said that there's a way to make alcohol out of bananas, but I don't know if he actually went
I think brandy.
Brandy.
Pretty good.
If anyone has that recipe, I'd love to.
I do.
He also told us about koji and how to collect koji.
What's the difference between koji and rice water lactose? I guess I'm sorry. I'll just ask later.
He also talked about transplanting plants and how he compared it to when a woman gets married and she's transplanting from her family to her new family, her in-laws, and you have to be able to prepare the body to reproduce. So just emphasizing the importance of water-soluble calcium and water-soluble calcium phosphate in the plant's nutrition cycle, and also for any future parents out there, real children. He also said, realize that we are bad, and then we can try to be good. And give gratitude for all of creation, and observe with the eyes and also the heart. And if you're speaking the right thing, and you're thinking the right thing, you're going to be living the right life, and you're going to be attracting the right people, and everything will kind of flow. So yeah, right thoughts, right speech, right action, right living. He also talked about making a vinegar out of coconut, and when the coconut shoots out the new flower, or like kind of like the flower, you can cut it, and it will sap. Like you can collect that juice, and you can turn it into a vinegar. It says the best time to collect is 10 a.m. and after it goes from a vinegar, it will turn into an alcohol, and you basically, if you wanted to turn that into a sugar, you would just heat it up and evaporate it. And he recommended that coconut sugar is actually the best sugar that we could possibly be using. Yeah. Coconut palm sugar. He also said, don't give up, there's always a way. And yeah, there definitely is. talked a little bit about sunburning and the recipe for healing trees that are sunburned. He gave the example of working with a farmer that grew durians, and he recommended that the farmer create an FPJ out of that whatever plant is experiencing a sunburn. So in this instance, a durian FPJ. And then he also said the recipes with lab, brown rice vinegar, and diluting seawater 1:25, and fermenting that seawater too. And that by giving that like blood and that life back to the tree from the durian, it's gonna help with the sunburn. He also gave a recipe for like a little water bottle where you cut slits in it, and that's, I don't know if that's where the koji comes in, but yeah, like an insect attractor for different
Moth.
yeah, moths. Yeah, I mean, I kind of have like a lot of notes, but the one thing that really stood out is how we are all a part of nature, and that the sun is releasing oxygen and CO2, and man has put a label on that and attached it and wrapped it in a box and tried to sell it to you back, and realizing that, you know, man has been like mimicking nature, trying to like put its hand in it, and that if we really can understand nature as like a whole complete process, and that we're all part of this like divine play that's kind of being portrayed, then you know, we can come into balance and come into harmony with nature, which is what I feel like everyone here is all about. So
I don't have much of a technical information, but what I really got from him is that he's such a heart person, and he's just filled with love. So when he sees plants or people, he has the same love and care. And he talked about this observing plants with the heart's eye, and not just the physical eye. So not heart's eye meaning, I think he has so much care and love for just plants, not just plants, but not just people, but everything around him in the world on this planet, that he sees things that our physical, scientific, observational kind of eye cannot see. So he looks deeply, he is able to see deeply into the being, whatever it is, regardless of whether it's plants or people. And he feels it, senses it. And that's what I learned a lot from. And she really moved me. And it doesn't matter what kind of plant. Like, I remember him talking about like how many leaves does a papaya tree have when it starts to flower. Obviously, maybe depending on the climate or the altitude and everything, it may change, but it just dawned on me that I'm not really observing the plants with that much love and care when I grow those plants. And that's something that I totally, it dawned on me that I'm not doing that. And I'm just seeing the plants as just, I don't know, another object in a way, compared to how he sees the plants. And it just really hit me back. And also he was talking about, oh yeah, the corn. He says from one plant, how many corns?
8.
Usually, I don't know, 4 or 5 or something.
2 or 3.
People say. But he says like 13 to 15.
Yeah. 13 to 15.
And it's not just about the productivity. What he was saying is, how he worded it is that it's the potential, full potential of the plant that because he puts so much love and care into what he does, that it manifests in actual technical things that he does, but it just naturally shows in how he does things, and he pulls out, or he just pulls the full potential of not just plants. But I felt that he was doing that with us there, and he was trying to pull that full potential from us. And that much love is something that I really felt from him. And I really felt, I wish I had that just for myself. I also realized that I don't do that for myself. And he really moved me in that way. And I really wish I had that. Not just for plants, but for myself. Then I can do that for others. And he really touched me. So, yeah, I do want to remember this feeling. And I haven't been to his actual workshops or classes not that many times, but that's the feeling I got from previous time. And for me, it's a very spiritual experience. Because what he talks about, it's not about plants only. It's about us and how we actually treat ourselves too. And that naturally, when we can do that to ourselves with love and care, we'll be doing that to our plants and to other people. And that's what I got from him. That's such a special gift. So, thank you.
The somewhat in natural farming is lots of people has a healing power. All those people attracted to Master Cho somehow. That's a really strange thing. Yeah, that's what I observed. Even Panchan, she is the doctor actually, Oriental medicine, and Candy is healer, and I think Carol is healer too. We all, and everyone somehow. Isn't that weird? Energy, it's all connected.
Aloha, I'm Bob Shine. I live at Holly, where Jason gave his 3-day level 1 class, and Master Cho came to our place on the farm tour. And so we had Bobby and Kaika and someone from Josana's farm, 3 other locations right in our neighborhood, who joined in the class. So it was a really great synergy of communion in our neighborhood, that we had these 4 communities that were partaking and sharing, and hopefully we can create a network, a synergy of IMOs and Korean farming in our region, get together and continue to work together. We continue to meet with Kaika at our place, and Anthony, the gentleman over there in the gray, he lives at our place. He comes to our meeting, and this young lady, Sylvia. And so yeah, we have been certainly blessed by Jason and his love and care and attention and knowledge. We had like 24 people for 3 days at our place, and we're just so blessed. Of course, Master Cho and his entire group from Korea, and the students and the guests that came to our place was just priceless, memorable. We learned so much, and we felt his love. And, you know, he was there to support and uplift, but he was also there to kind of expose and reveal shortcomings. So he had called Kaika up, he had called Drake up, he had told us, so you know, I had so much to do to get ready for Master Cho, and I thought, oh yeah, I should get him a lei, or I should get him something, and he showed up and I didn't have anything for him. And he came up and he had a bag from Korea with cake and cookies and tea, and I had nothing to show for it. I felt so bad. It really feeds into my guilt complex. So, you know, then he said, I don't feel any love in this place. I don't feel a quality of love here. So, you know, this is something that I've had to really get in touch with. And so then, you know, it was over. You know, they looked in our greenhouse. I showed him all the jars. He gave all his comments on all my preparations and our beds. And we had our pile, you know, that we were trying to make the IMO for. And that had shortcomings, of course. And so then they were getting ready to leave. They got in their car, and then they thought, oh, well, maybe we should stay for lunch. So they all got out of their car and came back into the kitchen, and we served them tea and fruit and gave them a lovely space for them to have lunch. And then after lunch, they sat in the living room and socialized and had a lovely time. So this is what I'm trying to generate in Halehehe, as a space of love. And so for him to challenge me on that is to really make me want to create that space and to create that love, because he had it. You could see it in him, his love for the plants, his detail to attention of all the various aspects of our land. So, so anyway, to make up for it, Kim is giving me his address, and I'm sending him a copy of Anastasia. I don't know if you guys know about ringing cedars. So she talks a lot about microorganisms. You know, in our teaching, it's about the plant and the soil communicating through the microorganisms. But she has this philosophy about how you can give your input from your own body into the plant and into the soil, such as taking your seeds and putting them in your mouth and allowing the saliva in your mouth to mix with the seeds. And then you plant the seeds and then you are there with your bare feet and allow the whatever toxins or whatever impurities in your feet to go into the soil. And then she talks about, before you take your shower at night, go out there and douse yourself with water and let all the impurities and the information in your body go into the soil, and the microorganisms will be able to tailor make your crops for you and your body, whatever diseases or whatever that you have. So she has a lot of insights into this that, so I want to give him a real deep, profound gift for what he's done for me. So, and it's just great to be here at the meeting tonight and to feel the love and the communion that we have for each other and for nature and Master Cho. So thank you.
I could add one thing. I forgot.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I wanted to talk to people and see if they understood just the practical matter about IMO 3 and IMO 4. He went into the difference between them, and like it's this. I've always wondered if I took a shortcut and just I'll just use the IMO 3 on my garden because I haven't gotten around to the other. But I got it really clear from him about what the importance of going that extra step to IMO 4 is and how it works out. And I think that's a really important thing to pass on, because I think that's new information from the old days. Like I never understood the part of it the way he described.
It's not new information. It was always there. Because we just, because if you don't come to the class all the time, you miss lots of stuff. That's you don't remember. You probably heard it, but you don't remember.
Or the telephone game happens and you say one thing and we all hear it differently.
Yeah,
I think they can work out.
I think it's really important for the instructors to add that missing piece. To, tell the students what you're going to tell them and tell them what you told them. I mean, teach them and then tell them what you told them. But the missing piece that's becoming really clear for me is to ask them what they heard. To have them reflect it back to you, to say what it was they just got taught, because that's, somebody like him, she can't write notes and hear. And so people will hear, because they're so busy trying to get it down, they'll hear, somebody will say, but don't do this, but they didn't hear the don't. Seriously. It does. It happens a lot, even in communication between people. I mean, even with Michael and I, I'll say something and he'll react to something that he heard that I didn't say, and I'm like, wait a minute, what did you just hear me say? And it's a struggle. And as teachers, I think what we can really do is struggle harder.
Put the extra step in.
To ask for the reflection and then clarify.
And also I noticed that when you teach, you say the same words, but that each student receives a little bit differently. That's why I think even the teacher who learn from me, they teach a little bit differently. Yeah, I noticed that.
We all got told to go back to school. We did. Everybody needs to go back to school with Minjang. That's what Mr. Cho said.
Yes. We can't wait. Oh my God.
But I do my best. Yeah. We just have to do our best, that's all. And don't stress out. Be happy.
Do you know if Master Cho drinks, does he drink like fermented water and BMW water regularly? Does he make those? Because my takeaway was I better get IMO4 fermented soil water in my diet every day, ASAP.
Actually, when they get sick, his son and his wife and the Master Joe, they all drink that IMO4 the water. Also, I noticed they drink the vinegar.
Why don't they do the IMO4 water all the time?
Not all the time. When they have headache, they drink vinegar, brown rice vinegar. Yeah. I know. And she said, I made this one. And she gave it to me. The brown rice vinegar before they leave. Yeah. And then also they cook with their input. So I start using more. Before I used maybe OHN, a little bit of fermented plant juice, but then now I use more for cooking. Yeah, and then your food tastes so much better too. And my dish today, that's what I use: fermented plant juice and the fruit juice. Several different kinds I put it there and enhance the taste. It was good.
Which one was your dish?
Huh?
Which one?
The chicken.
That was good.
So I can just introduce myself. This is my first meeting, and my name is Anon Shine. I've grown up here on the Big Island, and I've always been interested in farming and planting. And I've married into a farming family in Opekau. They have they're one of the first houlies in the area, and they have the 15-acre organic farm, the Johnson Farm. you're all invited to Kirtan and Pizza Night, which is coming up next Sunday, 7 o'clock, anytime around there. And we do lots of vegetarian and vegan pizzas for the whole community. And we're going to be inheriting a farm at some point, and it's just so expensive to be doing it in this more traditional organic fashion where you're buying all of these fertilizers and, you know, the organic pesticides and such. And so they're sort of in their way of doing it, and as the new generation, I'm just kind of striking out and starting to connect with this community more and educate myself and try to, you know, bring some of that wisdom to that beautiful farm that they have going on down there, and just keep the love flowing. We love being able to provide the beautiful organic produce for the community. We do the farmers markets and all that, but it has declined in recent years, so just wanting to reinvigorate that process. And then I'm also, by trade, a holistic chef and sustainable chef. So I love to get these tips for sure. And I love being involved with every part of the process. I love that magic and that reciprocity of when you give, you get so much. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful cycle that I feel like some of our human society has forgotten and become out of balance in that way. So just returning to that healing cycle, that loving healing cycle. And I just feel blessed to have been dreamed here tonight with all of you, and just connect with more community in that vein. And I look forward to seeing you all again.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, leave the question. You were just talking about. I'm Liz.